I have boldly reverted to that instinctive wisdom. I am overwriting the false thoughts that were superimposed on my template. That is this week's phrase, the anchor for our reflection. And it carries more than just words. It is a declaration. These are not small words. Every one of us was born carrying a blueprint, a pattern of truth and clarity imprinted before the noise of the world reached us. But over time, false thoughts crept in. They came wearing official uniforms, polished pulpits, and promises written in fine print. The bank told us what our worth could be and how much of it we could borrow. The government told us who to trust, who to fear, and how to behave if we wanted to be good citizens. And the church, sometimes they told us to ignore the voice within if it didn't match the doctrine. They didn't destroy the original design, but they did cover it, layer after layer. And so we learned to move through life half remembering who we are, thinking the distortions were our own voice. But there comes a moment, if we are willing, to return. A moment to stand in the center of ourselves and say, no more. This does not belong to me. Reverting to instinctive wisdom is not a regression. It is a reclamation. It is choosing to honor the first truth that was written into our being, before the edits, before the erasures, before the compromises. Before we were taught to ignore the sunrise in favor of the clock. Before we were told to silence the gut feeling that whispered, this isn't right. But I know that truth can feel buried under lifetimes of noise. The loudest voices, banks, churches, governments, have trained us to measure our value in numbers, obedience, and approval. And the media, that is their favorite tool. It repeats it until we think it's our own voice speaking. Now, their most powerful tool yet, social media, has us curating imaginary lives. It's pleasurable, it's addictive. And while it can connect us, it more often distracts us, pulling us further and further from what actually is. We scroll for hours while our own life waits untouched. We measure ourselves against filtered images and trending opinions instead of the truth living in our bones. So what do we reclaim? We reclaim the voice that is not afraid to be still. The part of us that knows the difference between desire and greed, between enough and too much. The part that feels a pull towards kindness without being told to be good. What do we overwrite the false with? We overwrite it with what endures. Truth over popularity, integrity over approval, presence over constant noise. These are not vague ideals. They are directions home. And every time we choose one of them, we scrape away another layer of the false. Overwriting the false is not an act of destruction. It is an act of restoration. And every thought you rewrite brings you closer to the life your soul already knows how to live. The lies don't just change what we believe. They change the course of our lives. They alter our decisions, our relationships, even the way we see ourselves in the mirror. And without realizing it, we end up living a life that was never truly ours to begin with. That is why reclamation matters. Because when we return to the wisdom that was there from the beginning, we do not just think differently, we live differently. We step back into the trajectory that was written for us before the noise began. I stand here boldly in the template I was given. And with each breath, each word, and each choice, I override the lies. That my worth is measured by money. That my value depends on approval. That constant busyness is the same as purpose. And I return to the wisdom that has always been mine. That I was enough the moment I arrived. That stillness can be more powerful than noise. That truth does not need permission to exist.